Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Hope you are doing well. Today, we are going to be talking about how to attract instead of chasing your readers. And we'll really focus on why you don't want to chase your readers because that's just really not a great way to live as an author and to just try to organize your author journey. So, let's go ahead and get started. As you're coming in, let me know the name of your book, your most recent book, and who your book is for. This is something that's super important when it comes to really understanding how to find your right readers, because if you don't know who your book is for, then it obviously is a lot harder to know who you're trying to sell it to. So let me know in the comments who your book is for and what your book is about, and then we'll get started. All right, so I was resharing and that's posted there. Okay, so let me go ahead. All right, so first, just to introduce myself, if you don't know who I am Ashley Shepard. I'm the owner of Shep Publishing, and I'm a wife and stay-at-home mom of two. I'm a full-time entrepreneur as of about 2 years. It'll be 2 years next month. And when I was working a 9 to 5, I still had a business, if not two. And so, if you are still working a 9 to 5, nothing wrong with that. And strategies I share will still work for you because I get it. I know how it is. And so, I'm the owner of Shep Publishing House, where we help authors get from the page to the people with efficient and effective marketing strategies so they can sell more books, reach more readers, make more money, and change more lives. And so, you may hear my son in the background. I have the baby cam on low, so hopefully he stays asleep while I share this info with you. And then I'm also an Uncloned Marketing Pro. And so what that means is that I'm authorized to use the proprietary systems and frameworks of Uncloned Marketing. And that looks like supporting clients with Uncloned VIP days, doing social media audits, all using the frameworks from that company. And with Audrey Richmond, if you're familiar with her. And these are just some places I've been featured. So the Nonfiction Authors Association, I predominantly work with nonfiction authors, and then different places as well. All right, so as I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about why it's so important to attract instead of chase your readers. And as an author, it is something that you can feel like, okay, I'm spending all this time trying to find my readers, trying to find my people, and I just don't know where they are. And it can make you feel a sense of desperation at times. That just is not something that you want to structure your author life like. And with that, you can find yourself kind of spinning your wheels thinking, oh, okay, well, if I don't know who wants to buy my book, then I'm going to try to advertise my book with everyone. And in theory, that might seem like a good idea. However, that really has the opposite effect of what you are wanting it to have. Because if you were trying to sell your book to everybody, then that means you're really selling it to no one. And if you've been in the business space, you've heard this before. If you are selling to everyone, you're selling to no one. And I want to break that down because, for example, in my new book, Profitable Publishing with Preorders, I talk about my own journey with becoming an author, and it'll be 5 years this upcoming September. But I talk about how I use pre-orders to cover my publishing costs, build my audience, and then also pre-sell my book. And so with this, you are, and of course, the little one wakes up. So I'll have to come back and wrap this up. But with this, for example, for reference, my first book is for first-time moms. And so with that book, I wasn't able to sell that to everyone because everybody's not a first-time mom. And so in this sense, you really have to be aware of who your book is for, what that audience likes, what they expect, because your book is very specific and it's very particular to that audience. For example, for this book, Profitable Publishing Pre-Orders is for independent authors, self-published authors who are wanting to recoup their publishing costs before their book is out, who want to have a plan in place to be able to attract their readers, and who understand the power of pre-orders. And they also understand that they don't want to, or they're open to understanding that they don't want to focus on page reads. They don't want to get paid 0.004 cents per page by leaving their book in Kindle Unlimited and thinking that's the max that they can get. Or they don't want to be at the Liberty, or not the Liberty, they don't want to only sell their book on places like Amazon where they're having to fork over a large percent of their income and their royalties, or they know that they're not going to go the traditional publishing route because they want to have that control and flexibility to do all the different kinds of strategies that I share. And so when you are thinking about who your book is for, and I have other videos to share with that, so I'll add those to the show notes, but when you're thinking about who your book is for, you really want to hone in on who that person is, what kind of things they might expect, and also what season of their life that they're in. One of my coaches, Audrey Richmond, shares a perspective. Instead of using a target audience, she does target situation. And so I really like that because typically people teach target audience, meaning like, okay, this person's married, they have a college degree, they live in this part of the country, things like that. But with a target situation, that could be something that's very specific to a certain time period of their life. For example, going back to that first book that I referenced in my book, being a first-time mom. You were only a first-time mom for a very minute period of time. After that, you were no longer a first-time mom because you might have another kid or you just have gone through that season. And not to say that that book is not something that people who are beyond that season can't still use, because I did write it in a way that it could be reflective because it's a keepsake journal, but it's very specific to that time of your life. So when you're thinking about that, don't feel like you have to try to catch everyone or try to get every single person within that category. Being more specific actually helps you stand out better. It helps you stand out more because people are gravitating towards you, and then they are looking like, oh, okay, this is exactly who my person is. They know exactly what I need. Their book is going to be the perfect thing for me. I was listening on TikTok to something, to another author describing how she attracts her readers, and she was describing her book as, and it was a romance book, and so I don't remember all the details because I don't typically work with romance authors, but she was describing it as, if you're into like big burly man romance books, or it was like clean romance, and so it wasn't like too in the too hot and steamy. And she gave some other descriptors that were very specific. So that way, whoever was listening to her video knew exactly, okay, this is exactly what I'm going to get when I read this book. And so that's something you can carry with you when you're doing your marketing, whether you're doing a pre-order or not. And so the first one is to really think about who it is that you're talking to, really understand who your reader is. And that's something I talk about in chapter 5 using my FANS framework. And so that stands for finding your audience, attracting them, nurturing them, and then shouting them out. And so I will have to take a beat here and pause, but I will come back for part 2 later tonight after bedtime, which I should have waited to do this then. But I thought, let me squeeze this in during nap time. And so let me know if this little short segment has helped you by dropping your comment in the chat. And then join me tonight for part 2 of how you can stop chasing your readers and instead attracting them. Have a good one. Oh, and tonight will be at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time.